Okay, let's dive right into this. If you're looking to pivot your career or break into tech anytime soon, there's honestly no better path right now than cloud computing. But actually navigating that path, yeah, that can feel like trying to read a map in a completely foreign language. So today, we're going to translate the whole thing for you. We're walking through the ultimate 2026 roadmap for becoming a junior cloud engineer. We'll build this out step by step, perfectly tailored for anyone making that transition into a junior role. First off, are you sitting there feeling completely confused about where to even start? Because if you're nodding your head right now, I want to validate that feeling right out of the gate. When you're standing at the base of this massive cloud computing mountain, looking up at literally thousands of different services, acronyms, and tech stacks, it is incredibly intimidating. It's so easy to get completely overwhelmed by the sheer volume of stuff you think you need to know. But don't worry, we're going to cut through all that noise today. Let's start by totally demystifying the core concept. What actually is the cloud? Well, cloud computing simply means using servers, storage, databases, and computing power over the internet instead of on your local machine. Think about it like this. Instead of a company buying a ton of expensive, heavy hardware and stuffing it into a backroom closet or relying on someone's fragile local laptop, they're just renting that global infrastructure. They're shifting from local limitations to massive global platforms for scale, availability, and pure speed. So here's the architectural blueprint for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the cloud engineering opportunity itself. Then we'll pour the foundations with networking and Linux. After that, we're building the frame with core platforms and DevOps. And finally, we'll put on the finishing touches with projects and foundational certifications. All right, phase one, the cloud engineer opportunity. Listen, cloud computing is the invisible engine powering basically everything we do right now. It runs Netflix, YouTube, massive global banking systems, e-commerce platforms, the backend of mobile apps, and of course this incredible surge in AI applications we're seeing. And the absolute best part for you, you do not need to be a 10-year veteran expert to start learning these highly valuable skills and actually land a junior role. Companies out there are desperate for people who just understand the fundamentals of how to keep these engines running smoothly. Which brings us to phase two, foundations, specifically networking and Linux. Look, you simply cannot build a skyscraper without pouring a solid, deep, and yes, sometimes unglamorous concrete foundation. As a junior cloud engineer, your foundation basically consists of two things. First is networking basics. You need to understand IP addresses, DNS, HTTP and HTTPS, ports, and APIs. Why? Because if you don't know how the internet talks to itself, the cloud is just going to be a confusing mess. Second is Linux commands. Most cloud servers run on Linux. Now, you don't need to be a Linux wizard on day one, but basic comfort navigating a terminal using commands like ls, cd, mkdir, pwd, sudo, and rm is absolutely essential for troubleshooting. These commands are literally your daily hammer and nails. Moving right along to phase three, core platforms and DevOps. Before you even think about picking a provider, you absolutely have to understand the core service models. We've got IaaS, which gives you the raw infrastructure like virtual machines. Then there's PaaS, providing development platforms so devs can just focus on coding without stressing over the servers. And finally, SaaS, which are the complete software services we all use every day. Seriously, commit these to memory because explaining the difference between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS is an incredibly common interview question for junior roles. Okay, now it's time to actually choose a platform. You're probably looking at AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, and thinking you need to learn all of them right now. Stop. Do not do that. Avoid the platform overwhelm. You just need to choose one provider to start with. And honestly, Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is usually the smartest move for a beginner. Why? Well, huge market demand, abundant tutorials, amazing beginner-friendly resources, and it's just heavily adopted by companies worldwide. It's really the path of least resistance when you're just starting out. Once you're actually inside AWS, keep your focus on the core services. For example, EC2 gives you virtual servers, S3 gives you cloud storage, and RDS manages your databases. But listen, the biggest mistake juniors make here is just memorizing the acronyms. Don't do that. You need to understand what they actually do in a real-world scenario. You gotta know that if a client suddenly needs to store 100,000 user profile pictures, you reach for S3, not RDS. And this naturally leads us into the DevOps connection, which brilliantly illustrates how the cloud is evolving right now. Cloud and DevOps are essentially married today. Step 1 here is mastering version control with Git and GitHub. Step 2 is learning Docker. Docker is huge. It helps you package applications into containers so they run consistently no matter where they are, which finally solves that classic, well, it works on my machine problem. And step 3 is getting a handle on basic CI/CD. That's continuous integration and continuous deployment. So you actually understand how code automatically travels from a developer's laptop straight onto that cloud server. Now, we absolutely have to touch on cloud security and monitoring. Mastering IAM permissions, which stands for Identity and Access Management, along with authentication, encryption, and basic logging is critical. Think about it. As a junior candidate, if you can show you have a foundational grasp of how systems are actually secured and monitored, you're going to immediately stand out from the massive crowd of beginners who only know how to turn a server on. And that brings us to our final phase, phase 4, projects and foundational certifications. I really cannot emphasize this point enough. Practical projects are the absolute most important part of becoming job ready. You should be aiming to deploy an actual website on AWS, host a backend like Spring Boot, create a working file upload system, or build a Dockerized app. Actually doing these things builds real practical muscle memory. It gives you something tangible and interesting to talk about in an interview, and it will significantly boost the quality of your resume. Which, of course, brings us to the endless debate. Projects versus certifications. A lot of beginners get obsessed with collecting certificates like they're trading cards. But the reality? Skills and practical projects prove that you understand real-world workflows, while certifications really just build a basic theoretical understanding. Don't get me wrong, certifications are absolutely helpful, but they only truly move the needle when they're backing up a robust, hands-on project portfolio. That being said, if you do want to validate your basic knowledge and get past those tricky HR filters, there are a few foundational certifications definitely worth pursuing, depending on the platform you chose. You've got the AWS Cloud Practitioner, the Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, or the Google Cloud Digital Leader. Knocking one of these out is an excellent goal that simply proves to employers you can speak the language of the cloud. I really love this quote from our source material today. Cloud computing becomes much easier when you build things practically. It's honestly the ultimate summary of this entire roadmap. You do not need to learn every single thing all at once. Seriously, don't try to boil the ocean here. Start slowly. Build your foundation with networking and Linux. Pick just one platform and focus entirely on practical building. So that leaves us with one final question. Looking at this roadmap we've just laid out, where are you on the path? Are you going to open up a terminal and start pouring that concrete foundation in Linux today? Or are you already past that, ready to architect your very first cloud project? Whatever step you're currently on, the opportunity out there right now is massive. So take that next step, keep building, and we'll see you in the next explainer.